Good morning, Foxes class. We are on to our writing lesson today. So just like we do in the classroom, can you please write down your date and LO into your exercise book ready? So today our learning objective is to write a colon before a list sentence. So it's a new sentence type that we are going to be looking at today. When you've had a go at writing your date and LO for me, remembering that line in between them, see if you can write a two-pair sentence describing one of these concoctions. So that's looking back at yesterday's learning. Can you remember what a two-pair sentence is? Remember, it has two adjectives, a comma, and then another two adjectives. So my example that I came up with was magical and enchanting, comma, mysterious and eerie, comma, the concoction continued to change colour. So date and LO into your book and then have a go at writing one of these two-pair sentences for me. Pause the video. Brilliant, well done. I would love to see the two-pair sentences that you have been writing. Okay, can we start by doing our story map? So again, just like you did yesterday, it's really important we practice our story map so we can learn our text off by heart, and that will really help us when it comes to writing our own story. The story map video is still on the webpage. If you look at last week's, it's under Thursday, the 7th of January. Pause the video here and have a go for me. Brilliant job. Hopefully you're beginning to learn some of the story map off by heart already. Okay, our lesson today then, we are going to be writing some colon before a list sentences. Now, there are a couple of these within our model text, but in order to spot a colon before a list sentence, we probably need to think about what punctuation it would include. The clue is in the name, colon before a list. What punctuation do you think that might include? Of course, it's going to include a colon. Now, we have looked at these briefly before, but don't worry if you've forgotten. A colon is like two full stops, one on top of the other. So the bottom one's like a full stop on the line, and then the other one goes in the middle of the lines. Can you have a look at our model text and see if you could spot any colon before a list sentences in there? So you're looking for that special punctuation, the colon. Pause the video for me. Well done if you managed to spot either one of them. One of the sentences that I spot was this one. It said, George did not like Grandma. She had rotten brown teeth and a small puckered mouth. And as you can see here, here is that special colon, our punctuation that's really important today. Our second one was this one, so well done if you found that one. Grabbing the biggest saucepan he could carry, he headed to the bathroom and began to fill the pan with the most glorious items. Minty fresh toothpaste, luxurious shampoo, and a bottle of scarlet nail varnish. Again, we've got that really important punctuation, which is our colon. So we're going to be using those today within our writing. Now, if we have a look at what a colon before a list sentence is, hopefully this will help us make a bit more sense out of it. Now, in a colon before a list sentence, we start with our main clause. Now, remember, our main clause has to make sense by itself. John had all the ingredients. Does that make sense by itself? Yes, so it's a main clause. John had all the ingredients. After our main clause, we have this special punctuation. Can we remember what that was called? Our colon. And then after our colon, we have our list. Now we all know how to write our lists because we've done lots of work on list sentences before. So remember, they're separated by commas. Do I have a comma before the and? No. So remember, we have our main clause, which makes sense by itself, our colon, and then we write our list. John had all the ingredients, colon, chicken, pasta, stock, and cream. So this green part is his list of all the things he had. My yellow part is my main clause. It makes sense by itself. And we have our colon after it. Let's have a look at our second one. So, Harry did not like the dinner. Okay, that's our main clause. It makes sense by itself. Harry did not like the dinner. I could stop the sentence there if I wanted to, but we're going to add some detail in. So that's where I put my colon, and then I'm going to list the things that he didn't like about the dinner. So I'm going to, Harry did not like the dinner, colon. It was cold and a hard crust had formed on the top. So I've listed all of the reasons he did not like the dinner. If we go back to our examples from our model text then, we can see these are exactly the same. So we've got our main clause at the beginning. George did not like grandma. That's our main clause. It makes sense by itself. I could just say George did not like grandma, but we can add in some detail of why he doesn't like grandma. So we've put our colon, and then I've listed all of the reasons he didn't like grandma. The same with our second sentence. Grabbing the biggest saucepan he could carry, he headed to the bathroom and began to fill the pan with the most glorious items. I could finish my sentence there. That's a main clause here at the end. That makes sense by itself. But I'm going to list the items that he needs. So I put my colon and then I list my items afterwards, remembering those commas when they are needed. Let's have a go together then. So in our model text, our sentence using a colon to introduce a list was George did not like grandma, colon, she had rotten brown teeth and a small puckered mouth. Now I'm also going to write a sentence about why George did not like grandma, but I'm going to change the reasons, I think. So I'm going to start my sentence with the same main clause. George did not like grandma. Can you remember what punctuation I'm going to need now if I'm writing a colon before a list sentence? That's right, I'm going to need a colon. So remember, that's the punctuation where it's like a full stop on the line and then another just above it. George did not like grandma. Now I need my list of the reasons George did not like grandma at the start of the story. Now, if I remember back to my model text, there were lots of reasons that George might not like grandma, weren't there? I think I'm going to go with some of her personality. So some of the way she acted that meant he didn't like her. Now, of course, she was very mean, wasn't she? So I think I'm going to start with George did not like grandma, colon, she was mean. Now I'm writing a list, so after mean, I'm going to need a comma. George did not like grandma, she was mean. Comma. Why else might he not have liked her then? I remember in the story it says she wasn't very helpful around the house. So I think I might put that as my second reason. She was mean, comma, didn't help around the house. Now, didn't. I know that's a contraction, so I'm going to have to remember my apostrophe in there somewhere. Didn't. Well, that's short for did not. I think I'm going to need my apostrophe instead of the O. That's how I go. Did. Oh, that looks right to me. George did not like grandma, colon. She was mean, comma, didn't help around the house. And let's have a think about one more reason he might not like grandma. George didn't like grandma. She was mean, didn't have her around the house, and oh, I can think of one, and always bossed him around. I think that would be a good list sentence. I've got my main clause at the beginning that makes sense by itself. George did not like Grandma. And I've got my colon, and then all of the reasons he didn't like her. Can you pause the video here for me and have your own go at writing a sentence about why George might not like Grandma? Okay, have a check of your sentence. Did you remember a capital letter at the beginning? Fantastic if you did. Did you remember a full stop at the end? Brilliant, well done. Did you remember capital letters for your proper nouns? So that's George and Grandma, because they are the names. Fantastic. Did you remember that special punctuation after your main clause? Did you remember your colon? Wonderful. And then the last check, can you check that you remembered your commas in the correct place for me? Brilliant job. Let's have a look at another example then. So our second example in our model text was, grabbing the biggest saucepan he could carry, he headed to the bathroom and began to fill the pan with the most glorious items, colon, minty fresh toothpaste, luxurious shampoo, and a bottle of scarlet nail varnish. Now I've had a think, and I think in my story, rather than going to the bathroom, he might go to the kitchen. So I've magpied the start of my sentence and I've just changed it so that he goes to the kitchen instead. So you can see here that my example says, grabbing the biggest saucepan he could carry, he headed to the kitchen and began to fill the pan with the most glorious items. So I've got my independent clause at the beginning. This makes sense by itself. But now I want to introduce my list. So what punctuation do I need? That's right, I need my colon, don't I? And now I have to think of some things that George might find within the kitchen that he could add to his concoction. I think that he might find, what could he find in the kitchen? Again, to fill the pan with the most glorious items. I think he might find some gravy. I need to remember my comma because I'm writing a list. Maybe some lemon juice. I think I'm just going to have 3 things in my list, so I'm going to put an and here. Gravy, lemon juice, and, or maybe some washing up liquid. That sounds like a good concoction to me. Gravy, lemon juice, and washing up liquid. Got to remember my full stop at the end, don't I? Grabbing the biggest saucepan he could carry, he headed to the kitchen and began to fill the pan up with the most glorious items, colon, gravy, comma, lemon juice, and washing up liquid. That's a pretty good sentence, but I'm just having a look at our example here, which has got words before the nouns to describe them. What do we call these? These are our adjectives. Well done if you remember they were adjectives. I'm wondering if I can add some adjectives to my sentence so that the reader gets a really good image in their head of exactly what George is adding. Now, if I'm thinking about the gravy, perhaps the gravy might be quite gloopy. So I'm going to say gloopy gravy. I'm going to say bitter lemon juice. I think that would be very good for describing lemon juice. And how could I describe the washing up liquid? I think maybe I might see the washing up liquid was foamy. Right, we always reread when we've written it, just to double check, don't we? Grabbing the biggest saucepan he could carry, he headed to the kitchen and began to fill the pan with the most glorious items, gloopy gravy, bitter lemon juice, and foamy washing up liquid. I think that's much better now I've added those adjectives in. Can you pause the video here and have a go for me? See if you can write your own sentence about what ingredients George might add to your concoction. Maybe they might not go into the bathroom or the kitchen at all. Maybe you might change the whole independent clause at the beginning. Brilliant. I would love to see your sentences. If you could email them in to me, that would be wonderful. So just a quick reminder, at the beginning of our sentence, we have our independent clause that makes sense by itself. It's got to make sense by itself. Then we have this special punctuation, our colon. And then at the end, we have our list, don't we? Okay, have a look at these two sentences then. Pause the video for me and see if you can insert the colons into the correct places. Okay, let's have a look at that first one. Mum headed into the village with her shopping list. Eggs, bacon, bread and milk. Well, if I think about what makes sense by itself, it would be Mum headed into the village with her shopping list, wouldn't it? So let's try our colon here. Have we then got our list after it? Eggs, bacon, bread and milk. Oh yeah, that's the list of things she wanted to buy, isn't it? So our colon is going to go after list. Grandma sat in her chair doing her favourite things. Being mean to George, drinking tea and kicking the dog whenever it came too close. Oh, she really was a very mean woman. Where is our colon going to go in here? Well done if you had it. After things. Remember, this part is our independent clause. It makes sense by itself. And then we have our list after of all of her favourite things to do, which are all very mean things to do as well, aren't they? Okay, have a look at my sentence now. Has the colon been used in the correct way? Pause the video and have a think. I agree that the colon has not been used correctly. Let's have a look at my independent clause at the beginning. The best ingredients to use were. Now, does that make sense by itself? No, it doesn't, does it? I couldn't just write a sentence that says the best ingredients to use were. That wouldn't make sense. Have a go for me and see if you could edit that sentence so that it does make sense. Remember, your independent clause at the beginning has to make sense by itself. Okay, on to our challenges then. So today there are 3 different challenges. See how many you can complete. See how much you can challenge yourself. So challenge number 1 is to see if you can put the colons into the correct places. Challenge number 2 is to complete the sentence after the colon. So you are completing the list. And then challenge number 3 is to write your own sentences which use a colon to introduce a list. Let's just have a quick look at challenge 1, just so you get an idea of what it is you're doing. So, Mum headed into the village with her shopping list. Eggs, bacon, bread and milk. So writing that sentence out and then seeing if you can put the colon into the correct place. And then challenge 2, you are completing the list at the end. George did not like Grandma, colon, can you give me a list of reasons why George might not like Grandma? And then challenge 3 was to have a go at writing your own sentences using a colon before a list. Please do send me in your work. I would love to see the wonderful sentences you have come up with.